stuff you probably already, excuse me, rephrase this. It's probably stuff you already do without realizing that you're actually doing this. So the idea here of what's called deductive reasoning, it's kind of like, I got the definition. So what we're looking at is you're using facts, definitions, properties, laws of logic to follow an actual argument. What's different from inductive reasoning, when we did inductive reasoning, you were looking at a situation, it's what your observational stuff is. This is, you're looking at actual definitions. You're looking at actual real data. You're looking at something that you're explain it on an easier level.
Right.
Correct. That's kind of what you're looking at, things that are already right in order to come up to a conclusion. Instead of walking into a room, about to sneeze there, I was about to say bless you, but you put that away. That was pretty awesome. So the inductive reasoning that we did before, you're looking at observational stuff. Here you're looking at straight on, there's a definition of something happening. That's what's going to happen. That's what always happens. And what we do is we use logic and reasoning to come up with statements. What can you conclude out of the given information type stuff? And the two ways that we use this, there are two laws that we use. One of them is called the law of syllogism, and the other one is called the law of detachment. It's really, really, really simple. Let me explain. Let's see. What's the easiest way to see here? Steve is taller than, Ben. Ben is taller than Chris. Therefore, Steve is taller. Steve is taller than Ben. Ben is taller than Chris. Therefore, Steve is taller than Chris. Boy, that was tough. Mm-hmm.
A lot of writing.
I know. A lot of writing. A lot of writing for something that looks just like this. A equals B. B equals C. Therefore, A equals C. This is called the law of syllogism. What happens here is when you have logic statements like this, and if the first sentence, the last bit you say in the first sentence is repeated in the next one, you'll see it some sort of a diagonal way, if you will. Notice how these two guys are diagonal from one another. That means, excuse me, the first part and this last part of the second sentence has to be true. It's a really fancy word for just showing how something's repeated. Steve's taller than Ben, Ben's taller than Chris, therefore Steve is probably taller than Chris. That's a different way of saying it. This is the way that you'll normally see these. They don't normally change the wording on you on those types of things, just because it gets kind of goofy. Okay. Let's do a different one. Syllogism flows. It's got a nice ring to it. A equals B, B equals C, A equals C. It's repeated. It's a very flowy way of doing it. The other one is what we call the law of detachment. Law of detachment. This one's choppy. Okay. This one sounds a little choppy.
What does that even mean?
What do you mean? Choppy? When you hear it, as you hear it, as you say it, it doesn't flow as cleanly as the syllogism does. All right. So it's one of those observational things you'll pick up on. If Moose eats a pizza, oops, comma, he will have a Sprite. Moose ate a pizza. What can you say? Done. See how it's choppier? If Moose eats a pizza, then he'll have a Sprite. Moose ate a pizza. What can you say? He has a Sprite. That's detachment. It's choppy.
Bring it up.
Yep. Now, actually, I probably should put word then in here. Then, with detachment, I know. But I know it's Monday. Give me a little slack. With detachment, one of the things that happens is it sounds choppy. It doesn't have that flow as the other one. I'm taller than you, you're taller than them, I'm taller than them. If Moose eats a pizza, then you'll have a Sprite. Moose ate a pizza, therefore, he had a Sprite. It's very choppy sound. And what I wanted to do is that I wanted to kind of, instead of continually writing these out, I made a copy of some, and I three-hole punched them because I finally remembered to do that. I know, right? What's that? I'm not getting it. Get a little tacky on it. What I want to do here is kind of just read through with you guys what are the valid conclusions that you can come up with. A lot of times with these things, it'll say, if a valid conclusion can be made, state it. If not, then you say there's no conclusion. So as you read through these, we look at number one. It's even telling you the difference between syllogism and detachment. Everybody see that? So this first one, you're going to be using detachment. It says, if you get a hit, then your baseball team will win. You hit a home run. So if you get a hit, your team will win. You hit a home run. What can you say? Your team won. See how that works? If Riley gets promoted and Kaylee gets promoted, Riley's promoted. It's okay. See how that flows? Okay. Anytime Kendra runs a cross-country race, if she runs a strong race, then she wins. In the cross-country race last Saturday, Kendra ran her best race.
That means she was strong.
I'm going to skip down a little. 8. If you mail the payment by noon, then it will arrive tomorrow. If your payment arrives tomorrow, then you won't be charged a late fee. Again, as you read that one, this is now the syllogism. Notice how something is repeated. then he gets nervous. If Cedric gets nervous, then he performs well. The conclusion they're saying is, if Cedric plays in a big game, then he performs well. Was that syllogism, detachment, or makes no sense?
Makes no sense.
Syllogism.
I knew it because I just said, huh? I said, that's slow.
No, don't feel slow. It's all right. Now, when you read it, what's repeated? Is there a repeated portion here?
Nervous.
The nervousness. So since this part,
Oh, yeah, you see that?
since that part is repeated, it ends the first sentence and it starts the second sentence. When that happens, you wind up with, if he plays in the big game, which is what we had here, then he performs well, which is what was right here as well. Remember, whenever you're dealing with this idea of what's called law of syllogism, if you can read it where you can think of it A equals B, B equals C, since that is repeated, it ends the first statement, it starts the second statement. Yes, sir? Oh, yeah. I'm fine. That's fine. If Leanne spends more than $30 on her car, she'll have to wait until next week to buy Michael's birthday gift. Leanne spent $40 on her car. Leanne will have to wait till next week to buy Michael's birthday gift, is the conclusion. Was that syllogism, detachment, or neither? Detachment. Why? Parts don't repeat, so you know it can't be the syllogism. But here's what happens with detachment. Another way of looking at it.
It says like, so it doesn't, it says something different, like with a lot of detachment, it says like Moose ate pizza, and then it said, oh, Moose eats pizza.
Then
This one said, if
Now,
spends more money on it.
so think of it this way. Detachment, if you have detachment has that P to Q, has that conditional statement. If she spends more than $30 on her car, then she'll have to wait till next week to buy the gift. Now, when you think of detachment, the next statement here, they start with this one. They always start by giving you an if-then statement. Now, with detachment, for it to work, if they state P is true, then Q has to be. Correct. So think of it this way. The conditional statement was, if she spends more than $30, then she can't buy the birthday gift. She spent $40. Isn't that saying that the P part is true? She spent more than $30?
Yeah.
Is 40 bigger than 30?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why then the following part works itself. And it also detached because you notice how it doesn't flow as if she does her investment, she gets, she listens to her broker, she invests in X. If she invests in X, she makes 50% money. That repetitive nature isn't there. Okay. If Levon gets money, she gives half to Sid. If Sid gets money, he gives half to Levon. Levon and Sid share their money equally. Okay.
I want to share my money.
Well, yeah. It doesn't have anything, because what they're saying here is if gets money, she gives half to Sid. If Sid gets money, he gives half to Levon. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really make sense on this one. It really doesn't. That would be the idea where there is no, that would be a neither. It's still saying that they share, but it doesn't. There's no way of saying that via the syllogism or detachment. That's what's kind of weird sometimes. All right, let's try it again. On the other side, what they're saying here is the way that they word this. There are three statements. Statement 1, 2, and 3. And they're trying to see, they're asking you the question, does the third statement follow the other 1 and 2 via detachment or syllogism? And if it does, Or if it doesn't, just say it's invalid. So let's read the first one. If an angle measures more than 90, then it is not acute. Angle ABC is 120. ABC is not acute. Detachment or syllogism or neither? Detachment. That's detachment. Everybody see how that works? They're saying that if the first part is true, then the second part has to be true. They're saying that the angle is more than 90 right off the bat. All 45-degree angles are congruent. Angle A is congruent to angle B. Angle A and angle B are 45-degree angles.
Yes.
How is something repeated there? Do you see an A equals B, a B equals C, something repeated out? Reread that, guys. Reread that.
I mean, it's A, B.
Okay. Does it say anywhere?
No.
All 45-degree angles are congruent. Angle A is congruent to angle B. Angle A and B are 45 degrees. That doesn't make any sense.
It's not repeated.
Well, not just because it's repeated or anything, but in this statement here, does it say anywhere that they're 45s?
No.
Could they be both 30-degree angles? There's no way of really knowing. Now, what if these two were flipped?